I've always been drawn to the mysterious and the forbidden. As a collector of oddities, I've amassed an assortment of curiosities over the years: ancient coins, cursed relics, and taxidermy specimens. But none of them compared to the voodoo doll I found hidden in the back room of an old New Orleans antique shop. The moment I laid eyes on it, I felt a shiver crawl up my spine. The doll was small, no more than 6 inches tall, with a crudely stitched body made of burlap. Its button eyes stared at me, accusingly, as if it knew my darkest secrets. The shopkeeper warned me not to buy it, but I couldn't resist. The pull was too strong. I took the doll home and placed it on a dusty shelf in my study. That night, I dreamed of a shadowy figure, a haggard old woman with hollow eyes. She whispered incantations in a language I couldn't understand, her bony fingers tracing patterns in the air. When I woke, I found the doll lying next to me on the bed, its tiny limbs contorted into unnatural angles. From that moment on, my life unraveled. Objects moved on their own, a chair slid across the room, a teacup shattered without cause. I heard footsteps in the hallway at night, but when I investigated, no one was there. The air grew thick with malevolence, and I could feel eyes watching me, even in the empty rooms. I tried to rid myself of the doll. I burned it, buried it, and even tossed it into the river. But it always returned, sitting innocently on my doorstep or perched on my pillow. Each time, its stitches seemed tighter, its eyes more accusatory. And with every reappearance, my nightmares grew worse. In my dreams, I was trapped in a dark forest, the trees gnarled and twisted. The old woman stood before me, her voice echoing through the mist. "You cannot escape," she hissed. "The doll is bound to you now." I sought help from a voodoo priestess, desperate for answers. She examined the doll and gasped. "This is no ordinary fetish," she said. "It's a conduit, a vessel for malevolent spirits. They feed off your fear, your pain." She performed a cleansing ritual, chanting incantations and sprinkling me with herbs. But the doll remained, its presence growing stronger. I could feel its hunger, its thirst for suffering. It whispered secrets in the dead of night, my deepest fears, my hidden sins. As weeks turned into months, I lost weight, my hair turning brittle and gray. Shadows danced on the walls, and I heard voices, whispers that promised release if I surrendered to the doll's will. But I resisted. I clung to my sanity, even as the walls closed in around me. One stormy night, lightning illuminated the doll's face. Its button eyes glowed red, and its mouth stretched into a malevolent grin. "You belong to me," it whispered. "Forever." I knew what I had to do. I took the doll to the swamps, where the water was thick and murky. I waited until it reached my chest, the doll clutched tightly in my hand. With a final prayer, I let it sink beneath the surface. But as I turned to leave, I felt a sharp pain in my chest. I looked down to see a needle protruding from my heart, the same needle that had stitched the doll's mouth shut. I collapsed, blood staining the water around me. The old woman appeared, her eyes gleaming. "You thought you could escape," she said. "But the doll is part of you now. Your suffering sustains it. And so, I remain here, trapped between worlds, the voodoo doll's curse etched into my very soul." If you ever visit New Orleans, beware the antique shops and the hidden corners. You might just find a burlap doll with button eyes, waiting to claim its next victim.
We are a growing channel. Please like and subscribe.